Now here you see the word inflorescence. Now what is inflorescence? This particular word term is related to a flower, the group of flower that bears on a same stalk. Now you see what is basically a flower is. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem. See, shoot apical meristem, that means meristematic tissues are responsible for the growth of the shoot. They are found at the apical, that means at the tip. So that changed to floral meristem. That means instead of the leaf, floral leaf appears. Okay, so internodes here. What is internode? The gap between the two leaves, that is known as the internode. So they do not elongate and the axis becomes condensed. Now where does it becomes condensed? When it is a floral apex. Now the apex produce different kind of floral appendages laterally at successive node instead of leaves. See, this line has to be underlined. See, floral appendages laterally at the successive node instead of leaves, and when the shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always a solitary. Solitary means when you have a single flower. But you see, arrangement of flowers. Okay. When you see the arrangement of flowers on the stem, on the floral stem, is called an inflorescence. Okay, see, arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. If you can see this figure, okay, now this is how, see, this is the stem or the apex. The flowers are laterally arranged and you have a group of flowers arranged on the floral axis. So this basically is known as an inflorescence. Basically you have two type of inflorescence. One is the racemose inflorescence and one is the cymose inflorescence. Now this figure depicts a racemose inflorescence, and cymose means what? The flowers are arranged in a basipetal order. Basipetal order matlab in on the same plane. That is cymose. Okay, racemose, you see the older flowers are born at the base, younger flower at the top, and when they are on the same plane, you have a racemose inflorescence. Okay, now here you see basically what is a flower. Now if you depict flower, flower is basically a reproductive shoot or the reproductive unit in the angiosperm. Now this is meant, what is the function of a flower? See, this is meant for sexual reproduction. Now here you see the racemose inflorescence. You have already seen the flower, and below it is a cymose. You see here, they are on the same plane. Okay, cymose like this. They are arranged in a group, cluster. Okay, now you see here again, the stalk of the flower is known as pedicel. That is called the thalamus, or the base of the flower, that is known as receptacle. Then you have volts. Volts means they are all arranged in a circular fashion. So they are the calyx, the corolla, the androecium and the gynoecium. The calyx and corolla together, they are known as the accessory organ. What is accessory organ? That means without them, they do participate in reproduction, but they are not actually involved in it. Tissue or organs, they do not, they just are part of it. Okay, and while the androecium and the gynoecium, they are the reproductive organs. For example, flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla, they are not distinct, and it is termed as perianth. What is perianth? When you cannot distinct the calyx and the corolla. When the flowers are both androecium and gynoecium, it is called a bisexual. Only stamen or only carpel, that is unisexual. If the flower, again, you know, radially symmetrical or bilateral symmetrical. If it is radially symmetrical, it is actinomorphic. When it is bilateral symmetrical, it is zygomorphic. Okay, now, and what is asymmetrical? That means it is irregular, it cannot be divided into any other part. Okay, now trimerous, tetramerous and pentamerous. What are these? These are the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4, 5. For example, trimerous, if you have 3 petals, 3 stamen, okay, like that. Tetramerous, that means 4. You have 4 calyx, 4 corolla, 4 androecium. Okay, like that. So that is, now flowers have flowers that is known as bract. What is bract? If you see the bougainvillea leaves, the leaves are so colorful that they resemble the petals of a flower. So that is known as bract and bracteoles, smaller unit. Even you have reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel, that is known as bracteate, and those without the bract is known as imbricate flowers. Okay, these are the terms that you have to remember, and there is no other option until you remember them. Okay, now here you see. Okay, now this is the position of the floral part. See, if this is the thalamus, if this is the position of the thalamus and the position of the stamen or the carpel, you see here the ovary is situated above the thalamus. So this position is known as hypogynous. Inside, see B and C, this is known as a perigynous. And last D, you see, it is completely enclosed within the thalamus, so that is known as epigynous. Okay, so hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous, these are the three terms. Okay, now based on the position, if you can see here, based on the position of the calyx and the corolla, the androecium in respect to the ovary and the thalamus, the flowers are described to be as hypothalamus, perithalamus and epithalamus. Hypothalamus, you see the flower, the androecium occurs in the highest position, superior. Gynoecium is situated in the center of the part, that is known as perigynous, and the ovary here is said to be half inferior. For example, plum, rose, peach, etc. And epigynous, the margin of the thalamus growth outward enclosing the ovary, and here the ovary is in the inferior position. So you find it in guava and sunflower, cucumber, like that. See, now here comes the parts of the flower. So parts of the flower, you see calyx, the outermost wall. This is called the sepals also. If they are united, that is gamosepalous. If they are free, they are polysepalous. Corolla is composed of petals. It is the second most. Their function is pollination, and calyx is for protection to the bud. Now here you see, this is basically the figure. Here you see, this is the pedicel, that means the stalk of the flower. You have the calyx, that is green in color, protection up to the bud. These are the brightly colored, that is the corolla. Function is, you see, corolla, if dissected out, this is a whole flower, this is a dissected one, and this is the androecium, that is anther and filament. This is the male reproductive unit, and this is the gynoecium, stigma, style, and ovary. These are the three parts. If they are united, they are gamosepalous. If they are free, they are polypetalous. And what is estivation? Estivation, it is a mode of arrangement of petals or sepals in a flower or a bud. Okay, now estivation is valvate, twisted, imbricate, vexillary. Vexillary, it's very prominent one. You find it in pea flower. Okay, now when the sepals or the petals in the whole just touches one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis. Calotropis means yam. Okay, now it is called a valvate. If one margin of the appendage overlaps, it is known as a twisted. Okay, imbricate. So these diagrams I will be giving you. You see, here it is. See, flowers are arranged like that. If this is there, okay, you see the diagram here. Okay, now this is known as estivation. This one is valvate. See, if one overlaps the other, you call it twisted. Here it is more twisted, so this is known as imbricate, and here this is a vexillary. Okay, this is standard petal, this is the keel, and these two are the anterior petals. So this type wing petal. So this is basically known as a vexillary. You find it in pea flower or any leguminous flowers.